Hi students, let's look now at just shifting supply and demand curves. So what I'll draw here is I actually start with a relatively wide open board because we're going to just practice drawing them over and over and over again. One of the best things to do with this is to do that type of practice. Get used to drawing your two axes. Right? So we always want to draw price, quantity. Right? So that'll be the foundation. You'll see me quickly go through this as we go along because it should become second nature after a while. So price is always going to be on our vertical axis, quantity is always on our lower axis. A demand curve is showing you just the relationship between what people are willing to purchase and what they're able to purchase, right? So you have to be willing and able to purchase an item. The demand curve is made up of a lot of factors. It's things like income and preferences, expectations. But the one that we're going to always draw is the relationship between price and quantity. When prices change, that's known as a movement along the demand curve. Right, and so we're going to talk about movements and we're going to talk about shifts of the demand curves. Movements are always dealing with price. If the price changes, that's me moving along the demand curve, right? Because the demand curve actually tells us the relationship between price and quantity. Right, so if I ever ask you, or if you're ever asked, what happens when price changes? That does not change demand. It doesn't shift demand. It just moves us along the demand. Okay, we still have the same demand for a product. We're just changing the quantity that we're demanding. Shifts in the demand curve actually move the demand curve to a certain direction. They either increase or decrease the demand curve. The idea being, at a given price, let me draw that in a different color. At a given price, there's more demand for an item, right? There's more quantity sold, or there's more quantity demanded of a good. Right? That's different than a movement. Right? A movement is talking about whenever prices change, how I move along the quantity I demand. We're talking about shifts that's saying, given a certain price, there's just more people who are willing and able to buy that good. So some things that shift demand, one of the largest ones is population. Right? And that's the one that should be the most intuitive to you. If there's more people in an area, demand is going to shift to the right. Always think right and left shifts and you should be okay. At a given price, whenever we have more people, we're going to demand more. Some other things that shift demand include expectations. So if I think something's going to happen in the future, I'm more likely or maybe less likely to purchase an item today. Preferences. Preferences is sometimes a weird one, but you can think about it in terms of fads or trends. If all of a sudden I prefer a certain item, I'm going to purchase more of it. Another thing that could shift demand is income. As I make more money, I want to purchase more. At a given price, I want more. Right? So I posted a video of the AT&T girl saying, I want more, I want more. Right? Normal goods, you want more. Right, so I'm going to write normal. We'll talk about that. Right, so normal goods means as my income goes up, I want more. It could also be the case that as your income goes up, you want less of a good. Those are known as inferior goods. Right, so see if you can post as a response to this video some of your favorite inferior goods, and I'll post some pictures of mine. But the idea is that as my income goes up, I want less of those goods. So some examples of inferior goods are things like tuna fish, right? Public transportation. I'll just put public tea, right? The classic college staple ramen noodles, Taco Bell, right? So I'll just write tacos. As my income goes up, I want fewer of those items. Right, so as my income goes down, I would want more. Right, so remember right and left shifts, you'll be okay. The other item is the price of other goods. Right, and this is where people tend to kind of get messed up. Changes in the price of that item, just movements along the demand curve. Changes in the price of other items changes my demand. So for example, take peanut butter and jelly. If the price of jelly rises, I'm going to demand less peanut butter. Right? Those are known as complements. right? That's complements with an E. Right, so as the price of jelly rises, I want less peanut butter. As the price of Oreos rise, I want less milk. As the price of chocolate rises, I want less strawberries to dip them in. Right, complements. Two items that you typically consume together. When the price of one thing changes, it's going to shift my demand curve. Could be the case that the two items are substitutes for each other. Right, so a great example of that is beef and chicken. Right, so as the price of beef becomes more expensive, I want more chicken. As the price of chocolate ice cream goes up, I want more vanilla ice cream. Okay, anything that are substitutes, those move in opposite directions from each other. So you can remember these items over here that I've written in green, those items shift demand. There's a lot of things that shift demand. The one item that does not shift demand is changes in the price of that good. Changes in the price of the good that we're analyzing is just a movement along the demand curve. So I'll erase this real quick. We'll talk about supply. Supply